Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hanging with Web show. I'm GW Pomichter. You already knew that, I hope. If you didn't know that, that's okay. You know it now. Here's what else you know now. You've logged on, you've tuned in, and you're here to see artists, authors, filmmakers, creative minds of all kinds as we talk to them here on the Hanging with Web show right here on HWWS WebTV. Right now, we are hanging out with author Marjorie Cuffy, the author of The Bond of Love, A Global Affair. Let that simmer. Okay, that's enough. Okay, guys, The Bond of Love, A Global Affair. Thank you so much, Marjorie, for coming over and hanging out with us. So let's start here. Let's talk about The Bond of Love.
Yes.
Okay, give us the book blurb on this.
The synopsis is it's the bond of love that we all share.
Okay.
The love of the father for his children.
Oh, wow.
And it's a universal theme and that's why it's global. It relates to the interconnectedness of everyone.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is awesome. How would they classify this book? What genre is this?
Spirituality.
Spirituality, okay. And what inspired you to want to write this book?
That's an interesting question because it was inspired without my knowledge.
By the way, that is the best inspiration for a writer, is when something clicks and you don't even know it happened until you're, midway through at the keyboard.
Yeah, I started writing whatever came to me in poetry form.
Okay.
That's many years ago. And when I retired in 2001, I found that in 2002 I wanted to learn to meditate and do those things. And the more I meditated, the more I felt inspired to write. As I sat down to write, those were the words that came to me.
By the way, I don't know about anybody else. I don't know. I can't tell you how others write, but that is the best way to write.
Yeah.
It is. I, so much of the time, will just open a blank document, sit at the keyboard, and let whatever goes through.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's absolute tripe. It's horrible. I admit it. And sometimes it is just inspired.
Yes, it's very intense.
Yes.
It's very intense.
And
it was an intense moment as I wrote, because that's not what I intended to write about. That's not what I had in my mind that I was going to write about. I thought I was writing about my immediate family.
Okay.
About writing about my grandparents or my parents or the life that I lived. But it turned out to be the universal family.
Is this your first published work?
It is my first published work.
It is?
Yes.
How exciting has that been?
Oh, it's been exciting, but at the same time nerve-wracking.
I love new authors because they still have hope. No, I love it. No, it is. I think one of the most exciting moments that we have is that when you send that off for the first time out to the world.
Yes.
And then the next, I think, most exciting moment is when you see your first copy.
Yes.
And I've left something in the world.
Yes.
And that's amazing.
And hope it can make an imprint.
And are you still writing? Are you going to do more?
Well, I seem to have written simultaneously 2 other books.
Okay.
But I'm trying to get this one out there first.
Very smart.
And then I will think the others, because I think the second one is a serial to this one.
Okay. Now, you said you dove into sort of the global family of humanity here, and the universal family and the bonds between us in this book. And like you said, you started out to write something more about your own family.
Yeah.
And this sort of unfolded in front of you. What were those early thoughts when you realized what was happening and how your words were coming out?
Well, it was exciting, but at the same time awe-inspiring. Mm-hmm. I was awed by it, and I thought, it can't be. What am I writing here? Because I didn't know what was going to follow the next. And then as it began to unfold, I realized I was writing about love and the bond of love that we share, and a new perspective on love. It's truly a new perspective on love, in that it's not the romantic kind of love or the intimate or the kind of love you feel for somebody, but love as the existential framework of all things.
That is fantastic. Yeah. That is fantastic. One of the things that I think many people have lost sight of today is how interconnected people are.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of thought and a lot of philosophers and a lot of think tanks and businesses and everybody are looking to try to define what the sinew between each of us is.
Yeah.
And I think I always tell people, if you want to know what that is that connects us together, look to the artist.
Yeah.
Because they see it. You know, they see the problems, they see the connectivity, they see where to go. And we don't. I don't pretend to be a politician. I can't. I can't solve world peace or world hunger or any of those things. But we can talk about it.
Yes.
And we can show our peers that we are all connected.
Yeah.
And there's got to be something. If we're connected, that something connects us.
We're connected by love.
And we're connected by love.
Yeah.
I love that. That is a fantastic perspective. How long has this been published?
2017.
2017?
Mid 2017.
What are readers saying?
I don't know. I've given it to a few people.
You guys have to tell her what you think. There's a place on Amazon. We eat stars.
Yeah.
Give us stars. That's what
Yeah,
we like.
it's on Amazon. It can be gotten on Amazon. I had it published through Balboa Press.
Okay.
And I've given it to many people who have found it interesting and rated it highly.
That's awesome.
And that's good for me, but but I need to get it out into the world as well.
As a first-time author,
Yeah.
And you're here at the conference,
Yes.
right? And you get to talk to some readers here
Yes.
and there. And as you do, what's been the most rewarding thing or interaction that you've had as a published author?
It's getting to meet other authors and other artists, really, in that, and communing with them in that sense.
It really is. The artist community is a community,
Yeah.
and it is one of the few places in business where your competitors, your peers, want you to succeed. We're not competing with one another. We want the whole community to rise together.
You do.
And that's an amazing feeling. It
is.
really, really is. Have you done many tabling shows or events, or are you new to the...
I'm very new to it. It's my very first book fair, and I was told by one of the other authors about you, so I came.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to our...
Yes.
You know, we love our authors community. One of the... when I first published my first book, we hadn't started the show yet. We didn't know what we were going to do, and it was that love for that community that drove the engine that created this show. And so thank you for whoever's sharing our information out there. I'm intrigued by the book cover design here.
Yeah.
Who designed this for you, and you know, what were your thoughts when you first saw it?
I designed it.
You designed it. Well, her first thoughts were good then. Okay, so
well,
tell
it came
us
to
about
me
this. What came to you? How
because
did this...
in the book it says that the door is ajar, just waiting to be found, as part of finding our communion with God and coming home to being on the path we are all seeking the way home. And there's a part that says, yes, they seeking their way home. There are those who will help you. There are light workers out there who are ready to help you to find your way home, enlighten you. And the door is ajar. So
that is
as the door is ajar, so it
awesome.
says
And now you know what that cover is all about. So when you see it, you're gonna just open the door.
Just waiting to be found.
Just open the door. It's in here, guys. Just open it up. So 2 more books.
Yes.
Yes. One is
called A Lasting Peace.
Okay.
A Treasure Through the Ages.
Wow.
And the other one is Understanding Spirituality.
That is fantastic. And you guys, once you guys get your hands on Bond of Love, the Global Affair, you will want more. And she's working on it. She's working very, very hard. Now, you started sketching things out and penciling them down back in 2001 when you retired. This is 2017 when you published.
When it's published. So I spent many years just because I was writing freehand.
That takes time.
I wrote freehand and then I put it on the computer.
That's a thing. There's pencils out there. Really. Those kids, they're on the internet. They're like, what?
So I actually had to really punctuate it and try to understand it and get things in the right format. And before I actually put it out there. So I spent a lot of time going over it because each time I read it, I thought I saw something different. Every time I read. So It took me a while, so then
Being an artist and a creative a writer it's a journey, not a destination.
Yes, it is.
So we like to ask, from those early days with your pen and paper to the day you published or whatever, what was the most interesting or surprising thing that you learned along the way as a writer?
That I had the stamina to do it.
No idea how important that statement is. When you become a writer, one of the first things that happens is you find out that everyone around you comes up, and one of the first things they all say, and I can quote this, is, you know, I was going to write a book once.
Yes.
The stamina to do it,
Yes.
to sit down and actually make it happen
Yes.
is so important. If you had any advice for first-time writers out there, people just getting started, their pencils in their hand, the paper's on the desk, what's your advice to them?
To follow their dream and not be put off by the writer's block or the existential things that keep us busy. You know, keep at it.
Keep at it. That's good advice, guys. It's really good advice no matter what you're in. If you're in the creative arts, no matter what you're doing, if you're the best plumber in your city, keep at it. Keep doing it. Commit to what you're doing. Guys, we want to thank our partners and our friends at Famous Faces and Funny, Space Coast Comics, Indie Originals, our great friends at Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida, our great friend Gene Turnbow and his crew over at Krypton Radio, as well as our really good friend Josh Bauer at J. Bauer Art for all of the art that's on the set this weekend. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you for logging on and tuning in. We hope you'll come back over and over again. We've been hanging out with Marjorie Cuffy, the author of The Bond of Love, A Global Affair. We're going to drop links down below so that you can find her stuff. Click on them, check it out, leave some stars. Let her know what you think. Remember, that's what ties us together, guys. Those are the bonds that tie us together. So please, leave your love for Marjorie Cuffy and The Bond of Love over there on Amazon. In the meantime, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next. Awesome, Marjorie.
Thank you so much.
That was awesome. Thank you very much.